Welcome to Pain in the Grass, the official Lawn Pride podcast, where we dig deep into the real problems hiding in your yard. From weeds to grubs to mystery brown spots, we've got the dirt. Let's grow better together.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are strapping on our boots and wading into maybe the toughest turf care question of the year, winterizing the lawn. We have torn through a stack of professional turf guides, all focused on making sure your cool season grass, we're talking specifically tall fescue, which you see everywhere in places like the North Carolina Piedmont Mountains,
Right.
doesn't just survive the cold, but actually thrives through it.
And our mission today is really, really targeted. We're on the hunt for that single shortcut, the one thing that guarantees an explosive, healthy spring lawn.
And what did we find?
Well, we found that shortcut. It all comes down to the single most important and, the most commonly misunderstood fertilizer application of the entire year.
The late fall feeding.
The late fall feeding.
And here's why this is so counterintuitive. You look outside right now, the grass has slowed way down. It looks static.
It does.
So why on earth would you put down expensive fertilizer when the plant looks like it's heading into hibernation? Most people just assume the work is done until March.
And that one assumption, that's the difference between a patch of struggling grass and the yard that just pops first thing in April.
Wow.
This critical late fall timing, it's the secret weapon. It's not about visible growth. It has nothing to do with what you see on the surface.
It's all underground.
It's all preparation and underground resource management. The grass isn't stopping. It's just shifting its entire focus from, say, height to fortitude.
Okay, let's unpack that shift then. Because if you have tall fescue, this cooler weather, when air temps drop into the 60s, maybe 70s, that's actually its sweet spot, right?
That's its prime time. It's when the plant really starts to ramp up its survival strategy.
So let's talk about that invisible work. Why is this feeding so critical?
Okay, so once the daily temperatures fall consistently, the cool season grass just dramatically reallocates its energy.
Reallocates.
It reroutes everything. So if you apply nutrients now, the plant is designed to funnel those resources away from leaf growth, which is super susceptible to frost damage, and push them straight down.
Into the root system.
Straight into the root system and the crown of the plant.
So we're talking about nutrient storage. Like a bear fattening up for winter.
That's the perfect analogy. It's banking massive reserves for later. The sources call it synthesizing and storing carbohydrates.
And carbohydrates are just the plant's long-term energy supply.
Exactly. It's not a snack. It's packing the internal pantry. It's fortifying the whole structure for the 6 months ahead when the ground might be frozen solid.
What's fascinating here is that this process, it isn't really optional for quality turf, is it? If you skip this, the plant is just trying to survive on fumes.
It's trying to survive on whatever meager reserves it built up during a harsh summer. It's vulnerable.
Okay.
And that vulnerability is exactly what this feeding addresses. It gives you 3 crucial benefits that you ain't get any other way.
Right, what's number 1?
The first, and this one might be the most surprising, is enhanced winter hardiness.
Winter hardiness.
Those stored reserves and the stronger cell structure they build, they literally function like a biological antifreeze.
Antifreeze. You mean like in my car?
Almost exactly like that. The strengthened cell walls, the regulated water movement inside the plant. It all helps protect the cells from rupturing during those brutal freeze-thaw cycles.
Ah, because when water freezes, it expands.
It expands. And if a cell isn't robust, that internal expansion just keist. It causes irreparable damage. And that's where you get those big patches of dead grass in the spring.
That is a huge aha moment. It's not just about surviving. It's literally minimizing damage from the ice.
Precisely.
Okay, what about the other 2 benefits?
The second is increased disease resistance. A deep, well-nourished root system is just your best defense against winter fungi.
So things like brown patch or snow mold.
Exactly. When the grass is weak, cold, and wet, the perfect storm for those diseases. A strong root system is just much better equipped to fight off that pressure than a lawn running on empty.
And the third one, which is the one everyone wants, is that immediate visual payoff.
The spring green up. When the soil warms up a little in March, all that preloaded energy, those packed carbohydrates, they're immediately available.
So the fed lawn is going to green up faster, thicker, and with way more vigor. You get a huge head start on your neighbors.
A huge head start.
All right, so since we're focused only on roots and internal strength, The fertilizer profile has to be totally different, right? We have to look at that NPK ratio.
A drastic overhaul. Yeah, the NPK ratio is everything right now.
NPK, of course. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And most of us, all summer long, we're chasing that high first number, the nitrogen, the N, because it makes the grass green and tall.
It does.
But we have to hit the brakes on that now.
Absolutely. High nitrogen drives top growth. And in late fall, pushing out tender new blades is the last thing you want to do.
Because that new growth is just so vulnerable to frost and disease.
Completely vulnerable. So our focus shifts entirely to the third number, potassium or K. This is the lawn's winter champion.
The winter champion. I like that. So why potassium specifically? What is it doing down there at the cellular level?
Potassium is a master regulator. It's vital for something like over 50 different internal functions.
Wow.
But for winterization, its roles are critical. It thickens and strengthens cell walls, so it's a structural building block. It also regulates the stomata, the little pores that control how the plant breathes and loses water.
So by regulating water, it's making it more tolerant to drought and cold?
Drastically.
Yeah.
It improves drought, cold, and disease tolerance. Essentially, K is giving your lawn a winter coat and internal armor all at the same time.
So that's where the internal antifreeze effect comes from. It's helping stop those sharp ice crystals from forming inside the cell.
That's it. It's preventing that destructive freeze damage. It's real, tangible value.
Okay, so if we're looking at fertilizer bags in store, we need a ratio where the nitrogen number is low, potassium is high, but what about the middle number, phosphorus? P. If we're trying to strengthen the roots, isn't phosphorus the root growth nutrient? Why is it often 0 in these winterizer blends?
That is a great question, and it really gets into the subtlety of modern turf science. So yes, P is critical for new turf, like when you're seeding.
Right.
But for mature lawns, most soil in our target region already has plenty of phosphorus. Adding more is not just a waste of money, it carries environmental risks because of runoff.
I see.
So the professional sources are clear. Only apply phosphorus if a recent soil test specifically tells you that you need it.
So if you don't have a soil test, look for a 0 in the middle.
Look for a 0 in the middle. You're looking for high K, low N ratios.
Okay, so what are some examples? What numbers should we be looking for on the bag?
You want a blend where that K number is equal to or even higher than the N number. So good examples from the sources are things like 10-0-20 or maybe a 12-4-24 if you do need that P. Or you'll see ratios like 18-0-18 or 60-0-22. The key is just to check that third number. If it's below 10, you're probably buying a general-purpose blend that isn't really designed for winter armor.
Now, for the segment that separates the amateurs from the pros, timing. Timing is everything. With fescue, you have to hit the sweet spot, right? It's got to be late enough that the grass has shifted its energy to the roots, but early enough that the roots can actually absorb the nutrients before the ground freezes solid.
It's a tricky, weather-dependent window.
Okay.
The scientific rule of thumb is that the roots need the soil temperature to be consistently above 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
50 degrees.
Above 50. They need that to stay metabolically active and, to actually absorb those granules effectively. Once the soil dips below that, absorption just slows to a crawl.
So for our listeners, say, in the North Carolina Piedmont Mountains, what does that translate to on the calendar?
Generally, that means the prime window is late October through the first 2 weeks of November. If you miss that, you might have until the middle or even late November as your absolute final cutoff. But pushing into December, even if it feels mild, is really risky. The overnight lows can just chill the soil too much.
And this leads us to maybe the most important distinction in this entire deep dive.
Yes, a vital distinction.
Everything we've just discussed. The NPK shift, the timing, that all applies to cool season grasses. To fescue.
Only to fescue. We have to issue a severe warning for listeners with warm season grasses.
So if you have Bermuda, zoysia, or centipede grass, which you see a lot closer to the coastal plain, your strategy is the complete opposite.
Diametrically opposed. These warm season grasses are heading into full true dormancy. They are designed to turn brown and shut down completely.
Okay.
If you apply any nitrogen or high analysis fertilizer to them right now, you just confuse the plant. You risk pushing out this tender, vulnerable new growth.
A little flush of green in November.
Right. And the very first hard frost will immediately kill it.
And when that new growth dies so fast, it stresses the entire lawn. I read it can lead to massive disease issues come spring.
It's a huge invitation for disease. So the rule is simple. If your Bermuda or zoysia is brown or even starting to look a little dull, leave it alone.
Let it sleep.
Let it sleep.
Mm-hmm.
For warm season grasses, All nitrogen applications have to stop by mid-October at the absolute latest. Applying fertilizer now is just.
Yeah.
You're basically giving the lawn a disease vector and weakening it for the winter.
That's a life or death difference depending on your grass type. Green fescue gets fed, brown Bermuda gets rest.
Couldn't have said it better.
All right, let's assume we have fescue, we have our high K bag. How do we make sure we get maximum absorption? The application method has to matter here.
It matters hugely, especially since you're paying a premium for that potassium. First, accuracy is key. You've got to use a calibrated broadcast spreader.
Not just throwing it by hand.
Please don't throw it by hand. Use a push type or a quality handheld and follow the bag rate exactly. More is not better here.
And here's the pro tip we found everywhere for getting that perfect stripe-free coverage. The crosshatch pattern.
Yes, the crosshatch. You load your spreader with half the required amount and you walk the entire lawn in one direction, let's say north to south.
Okay.
Then you reload the spreader with the other half and you walk perpendicular to your first path, so east to west. It ensures every square inch gets a uniform coating.
Okay, so the granules are down. Now they have to get into the soil where the roots are waiting.
Right, you have to activate it. You need to water the lawn lightly, about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of water, within 24 to 48 hours.
And if you skip that step...
The nutrients just sit on the surface, totally ineffective.
And a word of caution on watering, you want to avoid applying right before a forecasted torrential downpour.
Oh, absolutely. A heavy rain will just wash those expensive granules right off your lawn and into the storm drains. Your whole investment is gone.
Okay, beyond fertilizer, late fall cleanup is non-negotiable. The sources were very aggressive about this. We have to talk about leaves.
Yes. Leaves can be a death sentence for a late fall lawn.
Why is that?
Because a thick layer of leaves does two things that invite disaster. First, they physically block the sunlight. The grass still needs to photosynthesize and build those last carbohydrate reserves. And second, maybe more importantly, they trap moisture against the turf. They create this perpetually wet, stagnant environment.
And that wet, stagnant environment is basically a 5-star hotel for fungus.
It's a breeding ground. That's how diseases like brown patch or snow mold get a running start. You have to rake, blow, or use a mulching mower to chop them up.
And you have to do it weekly.
Weekly, if they're falling heavily, you just cannot smother your turf over the winter.
Okay, one last thing on cleanup. Weeds. What about those little weeds that try to sneak in during the cold? If you missed your early pre-emergent in September, is it too late?
It's not too late. A late pre-emergent application now is your last-ditch effort to stop the germination of those aggressive winter annuals that are going to erupt next February.
We're talking about things like Poa annua.
Annual bluegrass, yes. And henbit and chickweed. Hitting them now prevents them from ever establishing those huge seed banks they rely on.
Okay, let's quickly review the 5 big mistakes that can ruin all this effort, just to really cement it. Number 1, using up that leftover high nitrogen summer fertilizer.
Huge mistake. Number 2, fertilizing warm season grass that's already brown and dormant. If it's asleep, do not wake it up.
Number 3, believing that myth that the grass has stopped growing and just skipping the application entirely.
The roots are still working hard, even if you can't see the blades getting longer.
Number 4, bad timing with the weather, like applying right before a huge storm washes it all away.
And number 5, applying to frozen or heavily frosted ground. The grass just cannot absorb the nutrients efficiently through frozen soil.
So if you avoid those 5 pitfalls and you actually commit to this late fall high potassium feeding, the spring payoff is really remarkable, isn't it?
It's truly remarkable. The most immediate benefit is that uniform color and thickness. You skip that awkward, patchy phase so many lawns go through.
And because you focused on root development now, that deep root system makes your lawn way more resilient come summer.
Right. When that first little mini drought hits in May or June, the roots you fed in November can access deeper moisture in the soil.
Which makes your lawn more drought-resistant and less prone to heat stress later on.
Substantially more. And that thickness, it isn't just cosmetic, it's preventative. A dense, vigorous turf canopy naturally crowds out weeds before they can even establish.
Weeds hate competition.
They hate it. And finally, that improved cellular health from the potassium means a better defense against early spring diseases, like dollar spot. You're basically boosting the lawn's immune system when it needs it most.
It's not a one-time fix. It really creates these compounding health benefits.
It does. So that really concludes our deep dive into winter-proofing your roots. The main actionable takeaway is clear. Find that high potassium fertilizer, target late October to mid-November for your fescue, and invest in that underground fortitude.
What you do in the next few weeks really determines the quality, the resilience, and the color of your lawn next April. Don't wait for the first hard frost. Get that winter armor down now while the ground is still active.
This late fall feeding is a foundational investment in the turf's immune system. It ensures resilience through the harshest period of the year.
And as we close out, here's one final thought for you to chew on that kind of builds on this knowledge. Since potassium is so vital for regulating water at the cellular level and preventing damage during those harsh freeze-thaw cycles, think beyond your turf. Consider how many other common garden plants, maybe your delicate ornamental shrubs, climbing roses, even young fruit trees, might benefit from a similar late-season anti-freeze potassium boost to maximize their own cold hardiness.
Does that strategy apply everywhere or just to grass?
Something to explore on your own time. Until next time, keep those roots strong.
Thank you for listening to the Pain in the Grass podcast, sponsored by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte, Huntersville, your go-to name in turf care for homeowners and businesses seeking beauty, quality, and reliability, powered by family and fueled by passion. Until next time, make sure to take care of that pain in the grass.